Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Karo.
Guys, check out our YouTube page. We've been doing some fun stuff over there. I do some polls every week. I do some funny polls. Check out manoftheyearpodcast.com for our merch. Karo's rocking the hat right now. I'd like to see more people walk around with the hats. Karo, it's Halloween, your favorite season.
Happy Halloween, buddy.
Halloween. I call it a season because it does feel like a season.
What do you think about, I don't know if it's a meme or how you would call it. You know how people say, right, season SZN?
Yeah, Halloween season.
Yeah. Spooky season.
Yeah, spooky season.
I tell you, I was
title this episode Halloween season.
I was in the grocery store. This is before Labor Day, so in August, and they had the Halloween stuff out.
Can I tell you, I love Halloween stores.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They're like a fun. I was thinking like you should take a girl there on a date. It's very like, remember in Good Will Hunting when he's in like the gag shop and they're like clowning around?
Yeah.
I feel like you should go on a date there.
It's the kind of thing that like happens in a movie and never doesn't really like.
Yeah. Does it not happen in real life? Is nobody like picking up and like being romantic?
I don't know, like going to a gag shop. Like it seems more fun than it actually is, you know?
Yeah. Maybe we should get some caramels. Remember that?
As a former lawyer, what do you think about like when the costume says like, president, like it's obviously it's Freddie Booth.
Clear infringement. You're talking about the clear trademark infringement of these stores that are gone the day after Halloween. So there's nobody to chase down and sue anyway. They pop up.
I thought you were talking about, because are there year-round Halloween stores?
No, I think there are like one or two, but most of them just feel like all of a sudden, just like in an abandoned lot, there's just like a giant Halloween store, and then like November 2nd, gone.
Yeah. And it's
like in those movies when you're like, yeah, no, I bought all this stock from these stock traders. They were right here, and then you go in and it's just like phones on the floor.
That's boiler room reference. I get it. Yeah.
Halloween. Every Halloween is a boiler room.
Yeah, every Halloween is a boiler room of costumes and
trademark.
Yeah, it's like pop singer. There's clearly like a Taylor Swift like leotard.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of pop singers, there's the funniest. Do we still do a shot every time Matt says Hamptons, or is it too late in the year to do that?
It's not Sag Harbor season, but so I'll allow it this time.
So in Sag Harbor this summer, I forgot to tell you about this. So Justin Timberlake got that DUI at the American Hotel. So we were hanging out there and everybody was talking about it, and there were a couple of rumors floating around that he wasn't just drinking. Hot take. And that they were being really nice to him and that he's lucky he only got a DUI. But so you walk outside and there's this art gallery and they've got this awesome painting somebody like drew of him, and then underneath you see the New York Post mugshot. So they like painted the New York Post mugshot.
So after this went down, and in the hotel they're celebrating this?
No, next door. There's like an art gallery right next door.
Okay.
But yes, I think so. It's kind of like a badge of honor in town there now.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like there's definitely going to be like, trademark infringed DUI pop star. It's going to be like a Timberlake type.
And we should say driving while impaired is not a funny matter.
No. I feel like there's probably like a trademark infringed, like what you were saying, pop star and football player. And it's going to be like the Travis Kelce ridiculous costume that he wore the other recently.
Oh, yeah, with the Chanel hat or whatever.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, yeah. I see your mind racing.
Yeah, no. So I was thinking for this episode, because it's Halloween, that we haven't really talked in a while about facing your fears and your demons and your skeletons. So I'm really shoehorning that in.
I don't think that's a shoehorn. I think that's elegant.
Oh, okay. Wow. So wow. Thank you.
Well, that's because it was my idea, obviously.
Oh, well, they don't know that. They didn't know that. So, one thing that we never really talk about with friendship is how, or we haven't probably talked about it, but not in a while, how your past friendships and your past relationships, you still carry them with you, even if you're not friends with a person, or you are friends with a person, but you've had a falling out, or you're more distant than you used to be. I feel like we don't talk about enough how that plays into the way that you're interacting with your new friends and maybe the things you're cautious about or not. So I thought maybe we could kind of talk a little bit about that.
In my mind, I'm picturing kind of like a ghost of Christmas past, like bros of Christmas past, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. A friendship's past.
Friendships past. Yeah. And I like what you said, that you kind of like have the spirit of
Yeah.
your past friends.
And I think the number one thing I would say that people do because of getting burned or whatever is staying reserved. Like
Staying reserved and trying not to get hurt.
trying not to get hurt, right? And a lot of men don't want to admit that. I think that's probably safe to say. A lot of men don't want to admit that in their new friendships, they don't want to open up too much so they don't get hurt like last time.
Yeah, there's certainly, it's funny, we have talked a lot about facing your fears,
Yeah.
and it could be something so small as like, I want to text my buddy, but
Right.
I'm afraid he won't respond, or he won't care, or he doesn't want to
Right.
hang out, which
Right.
sounds sort of silly when I say it out loud, but
No, but if you're carrying that around for a lot of reasons, but I was gonna say specifically because of like friendships past where you feel like it was so one-sided, right? A lot of times you're like, I had this friend and I was just texting all the time, never texting me back. And now you're like not really close to that person, but you're making new friends and maybe you're taking the wrong lessons, right? Or maybe you're like, maybe that is the right lesson, but you don't know because you're so sort of influenced by bros of friendship past.
I'll say any relationship, business, romantic, friendship, where you're like texting and they're not responding, it does like give you trauma.
Totally. Totally. And I had a recent thing with a director I'm working with. It's really funny because I already like anytime somebody doesn't text me back, of course you do. You start catastrophizing, and I text him.
Within 45 seconds, I'm like, why did I
Yeah.
send this text?
Well, I texted him what I thought was the funniest joke based on his notes for my script.
Yeah.
24 hours, no text. So they're like, so sorry, I was in Canada in an area on a movie and there's no Wi-Fi. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no big deal. I just figured you're off the movie now.
Wait, did you invent the word catastrophize?
No, yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So I think we tend to do that. And so, but I think, look, I think there's a balance, right? It's healthy to learn from previous relationships, and a friendship, as we always say, is the most underserved relationship and under talked about, especially for men. But I think a lot of times we're not starting from scratch with new friends. We can't be because of all the, I don't want to say trauma because that's like going too far, but just like some baggage.
Yeah, well, it's the same as in a romantic relationship. You carry with all your exes.
So how do we give practical tips to kind of fix that?
How do we exorcise our friendship demons?
Nailed it, Carol. You did it again. Oh my God, you nailed it. How did I not see that? Clear as day.
I'm writing it down.
How do exercise your friendship demons? Title of the episode.
Yeah, exercise your friendship demons. So, I mean, I think, and I'm curious what you think about this. Like, we do, I guess, have to look at each new friend as a holistic, as their own person. There's their own guy or girl, as the case may be. Because I think it's unfair to him or yourself if you project all of this baggage onto the person.
Yeah. And I also think, I want to say that you're not giving the new person enough credit if you're holding back based on, some other relationships. Like I assume when I make new friends that like they like me because they like I'm not like I am who I am,
They like your pool.
What's that?
They like your pool.
They like my swimming pool. So sad. I'm gonna cry because it's like half true. Yeah, I do get a little too many. Hey, what are you doing on this 100-degree day when it's 60? Got a lot of text. Hurricane season, not getting a lot of texts.
Hurricane SZN, yeah.
Yeah, hurricane. So I was gonna say, like, I think, same with you. Like, if somebody you're drawn to somebody immediately and there's an immediate connection, I think people get you pretty quickly. Like, you know what I mean? Like when people connect, I think they generally get who you are, and they're basically affirming it when they're saying they like want to be friends and want to spend time with you. So I think I would caution people not to kind of like hide things because they think in previous relationships, like just be yourself.
Well, one thing that you have always said is that you also give the other person, the new person, the benefit of the doubt. Like you assume we did an episode about assuming good things about new
Yeah.
friends instead of assuming horrible things about new friends.
Right. Right. I assume that they're going to want to hear my good news if there's a friend before who got jealous.
Right.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
not going to not share good news. And I don't want anyone in my circle like that isn't like that. And I've had people in the past. I think we've all had friends that were like, oh, this person's too jealous, or, this person isn't responsive, or whatever that thing is. So obviously we carry those demons in our skeletons in our closet.
Do you remember what you said in a very, very early episode? You said that you attract the sad sacks.
Oh,
You
yeah.
said you attract them like moths. I said, why do the sad sacks attracted you? And you're like, because they like the light.
They like the light. They love the flame. I would say, interestingly enough, if we're going to do a very quick reflection on where we are in our state of friendship, I would say I'm not really around a lot of sad sacks.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
an evolution.
Yeah. I think there was part of it that was, I said they like the light, but I also think I was indulging it.
You like the sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give you sort of grace here, in that indulging you just like kind of see the best in people. I certainly could use that a little bit more. So I think almost to your detriment sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
But I
I
think
don't know.
I'm trying to get better at it is what I'm saying. So I think I've been
Yeah,
better
that's
at it.
great.
But looking back. So I think that's a tip, is like look back at your friendships past and try and figure out what you've learned about yourself, not like but frame it in a positive, like don't just think that, this person didn't like you for whatever reason and now you can't, be vulnerable with the next friend.
Now, if we want to belabor this analogy even more, I was thinking about skeletons in the closet. And, if you take the converse of what you just said, which is old friends, like you and I, friends in second grade, one thing we talk about all the time is that we literally know where the bodies are buried, the skeletons in the closet. And I think we've both said, half jokingly, but half legitimately, like, it is a little bit, quote, burdensome. Not bad, but I'm saying, like, you can't really get away from me. So, and
Yeah.
sometimes that frustrates you or me.
Yes, I've told you, I think it only frustrates me in the sense of like two ways where I think this is a universal truth. I think people get annoyed when they have new friends and they're trying to establish that they want to be known however they want to be known now, not from second grade. And you've got a Karo over their shoulder, like, no, he doesn't do that. What are you talking about? He's an alcoholic. I haven't had a drink in 14 years.
Oh, man.
So I think that's one component of it, is that like around new people, you get this a little bit of like, oh God, now this friend's going to like call me out. Like, I can't just say, hey, I like birds, And then the other is just when you're actually just with the old friend and you're trying to achieve personal growth and it's just like sarcasm. Let's make fun of this person.
Did you watch the Sopranos documentary?
No.
There's a Sopranos documentary about David Chase.
First I'm hearing about
it. You would love it, but they have a whole thing about your favorite scene, or not your favorite scene, the scene that you mentioned, which is Tony Soprano says, "Remember when" is the lowest form of conversation.
Yeah. That's all Karo wants to talk about.
Should we take a listener question?
Yeah, I got a good one.
We'll be right back. Okay, guys, this is Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show. Take it away, Matt.
Hi, Matt and Karo. I'm a female listener in my early 30s. She said, I realize this podcast is more male listeners, but we're here too. She said her BFF and I have been dressing up for Halloween together for years. We've done Angel Devil, Elsa and Anna. What is that? Frozen? Cher and Dion. Oh, Clueless. I like that. Daphne Velma. What is that?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah. We went to college together, now live in the city together. And I just feel like it's at the point where people lump us together too much. Ooh. I want to say no. Is there a way I can do this without hurting her feelings?
Now, when she says lump us together too much, does she mean year round?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting, that there's a lot of stuff just in that, that short question, that there's a lot of stuff there.
That is pretty interesting. We haven't really had a question about, someone sort of wanting into independence.
I know. It's a good one. I think it's a good question more for people in their 20s and 30s, for sure. I was going to say, I had this when I moved to LA. I had another guy who was a comic, and we moved out together. And like, people just would lump us together. And I was like, what is that? Just like we moved out together. And it was just like,
say more about lump. Like, how did that physically manifest?
No, just conversationally, people would be like, what are you guys? Everything was like, what are you guys? What are you guys do this? These guys do that,
Got it.
Like, you feel you're not seen as an individual.
Right.
We probably get a little of that from the pod now too, I would say.
Oh, people know we're very distinct.
No, but I'm saying, like, people who don't know us that well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, these guys,
Yeah.
Or
I like it.
Yeah. Or like the people that we're meeting as a business right now.
Oh, then we're just one amorphous blob.
We're one entity, right? Which is like a nightmare on every level.
What do you think about, this is a little bit off topic, identical twins dressing them to get the same?
I mean, you gotta at least do it sometimes. You have to. It's too cute not to. And look, this is coming from somebody whose mom gave him hand-me-ups from his younger sister. So I hate a lot of those old photos, my least favorite word is unisex. Like, blue's a neutral color. I'm like, Mom, it's a tutu.
Wait, so you saying you have photos you actually cringe because you're wearing like a girl's shirt?
Wearing dresses. I'm wearing girl stuff. And look, hey, I'm all for this. Is not anti any gender at all. Just for me as a person, I identify as not that.
But you weren't wearing dresses. You just
were
wearing.
I have pictures like in dresses. It's cute. Look, it's cute. I actually just laugh about it. But it is funny that, like, you don't have a say in, like, my haircuts, all of it. You don't have a say in any of it.
Well, I've known you since second grade. It's the first I've ever heard that anecdote. So there you go.
I'll send you some of the pics. So yes, I think it's cute, the twins. But so let's get back to the listener question. Yeah. So I think there's a codependency here that has happened for way too long, right? It seems to me this wasn't one-sided for a long time, right?
But isn't the lumping an external force?
It is, but clearly they've been embracing it for a long time, I would say. This didn't just start happening. It is my guess, and just based on my impression of how this happens with people. A lot of people who are codependent. Look, you know how it is. In your early 20s, like New York City, you've got a roommate. You're doing everything together. You are, and that's great. It is great. I think it's actually really great. And then I do think there comes a time. A lot of it is usually, it just kind of coincides with somebody meeting somebody, usually. Like a romantic part. That's sort of usually like the normal ebb and flow of, like, okay, now it's time for me to find independence. I have a lot of friends, actually, I'd say more girls than guys, who have had this, where they've had somebody that they've been living with and kind of a little bit of codependency with for so long that people lump them together and it starts to bother them. But it's like, hey, but you also did this. I agree with what you're saying. Like, yes, it's coming from external place, but it's not that you weren't sort of complicit in it and you liked it. But now you're feeling different about it, so you want to change it.
I'm wondering how she should say, "I don't want to do a couple's costume this
Well,
year."
that's the thing. So I have a couple of ideas about
Okay.
how to just I have a costume answer, and then I have obviously much bigger answer. One is just like suggesting a new tradition, you know,
Oh,
like, let's mix it up this year. I think that's always like a good, polite, soft way of saying I don't want to do this thing anymore. Like let's bring in some other people and do a whole group thing. That's kind of an easy way to not make that person feel alienated.
but does that accomplish the goal? Because now you're still in a
No.
costume with somebody.
Well, no, yes, because then you're not just together with that person, maybe.
Okay.
Uh,
So expanding the circle generally is actually a
yeah.
tip.
Yeah, that's an easier way. I think that's a little easier potentially bringing somebody else in than just like cutting them off like
Okay.
that. Um, but I think, you know, I always think keeping it light is a way to do it, you know? Like it doesn't have to be so serious. This is a Halloween costume.
Mhm.
You know, because if you can't suggest to do a different Halloween costume, how are you going to have the harder conversation, which is what I want to get into, which is that you feel you need more independence from this person.
Mhm.
So I think this is like the easiest step one of like, hey, you know, like make some jokes about it. Like, yeah, you remember we did this, we did that. Like, it's been awesome. But like, I feel like this year we should just run around in our own costumes and see if people can even tell we're friends. Or, well, I don't know. That's a bad joke. But like,
Mhm.
my point being of like, use humor and open up crack open the idea of like, hey, maybe I don't want to do that this year.
I mean, you could just suggest, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this costume," and it's a costume that literally has no
No, there is no pair, right? I'm
right.
a
I don't
I'm
know.
a I'm a unicycle rider.
Right. Right. I mean, that's pretty hard to come up with another one because I was gonna say, "Oh,
I'm free solo.
well," she'd be like, I'll be the mountain,"
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Right. What's the most clearly you can't hang out with me costume?
Um, I I'm going back to sort of the broader question, which
I'm
is
a
that
lone I'm a lone wolf.
yeah, I'm the Lone Ranger, though I guess you could
I'm a
be
lone Tonto.
go, yeah. Well, I don't recommend that for this group.
Uh,
Um, I'm still thinking about the kind of being lumped together thing in that I don't know. Like, is it possible? I love how you always like sort of question the questioner. Like, is it possible this is coming from a different place?
Meaning what?
That maybe she doesn't, she's growing a part of the friendship. It's less about what other people think and more that like
No, it's
she,
absolutely that's what I'm saying. There's a much
yeah.
bigger issue that like it's time she's realizing it's time to figure out who she is as a person without
Hmm.
like, this person who's your BFF, but also maybe you've been using as a crutch to not figure out where you're going with your own life and direction that you want to take.
Right. But
I
it
think
sounds
there's
like,
a couple of other things sort of
okay.
too, just on this point.
Yeah.
I think you can also kind of set a like, I think this should be, I think maybe like this should be, well, let's do this tradition one more time.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So kind of setting like an end date. So now she's not like getting cut off next month.
Hmm. Feels even almost like worse. Like
That
this is the
works.
last. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think you have to have this isn't about the costume, so it's silly to like make it about the costume,
Right.
because I do think then like you're just avoiding the much bigger issue of like, hey, I love you, we're best friends, we're roommates. Like, I think I need to get my own apartment, is what she's really saying.
Hmm.
you know, like I
Yeah.
think what you're saying is you need your own apartment.
Some other ideas for a costume that doesn't. I know we're getting off the costume. Mona
That's
Lisa.
funny. Oh, that's funny.
Part of me, okay, moving out, that's pretty big. I mean, that's a pretty big, if
No,
that's
I
what
know. I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
what's really going on here is you're saying you've reached that age that a lot of people reach. You know, you have a best friend. You've been doing everything together. You're living in the city. It's all fun, but you're realizing, like, hey, in order to really grow, you need to get to that next level. And I don't think you need to say all these things to that person because I
Right.
don't like that's all necessary.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we're always advising our listeners to like have the conversation, have the hard conversation. We had an episode of hard. Good friends have hard conversations.
Right.
This seems like maybe to tread lightly because you still love the friend.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to reject this person. That's why I'm just
Right.
like the Halloween costume is like a silly way to hurt their feelings, almost
Yeah.
like for no reason. It's almost just like do the costume and then like talk about what you want to do or like figure out a way to set these boundaries for your own individual growth in a different way. Right. Because
Oh,
you're right. It's not the Halloween costume that makes it
right.
that you and this person are always known together.
By the way, how do we know the other person's not thinking the same thing?
And that's so funny, Kara. I was thinking, like, I have found most of the time when people have this epiphany, they've probably both kind of ran that course. It's pretty rare that like one person is totally like, I can't believe you want to move out after we've been living together for 10 years since college.
Yeah. If the other person, if the other girl came to her and expressed all this stuff, what's her MO? Do you think she goes, "Oh my god, I'm thinking the same thing," or does she fake it and be like, "Okay," like,
Oh, you're saying if that person was thinking the same thing?
yeah.
I think you should say, yeah, actually, I was thinking about it too. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good.
But I think, look, obviously you have to do it positively and balance and I think over time a little bit, like you don't need to turn it into like a huge breakup conversation. That's just my take
Yeah. I mean,
is
I
like,
think
just start acknowledging that you're, feeling like you may want to, go off and do some things on your own, but like in a way that's like, I love you, this and that.
right. I'm really coming around to your original idea, which is expand the group
Right.
because it just opens up a whole world of possibilities and then maybe the other person meets someone as well.
Yeah.
And
Right. It sounds like that, but that's part of the problem too. It's like when you have one friend and do everything together, you're putting so much on them and they're putting so much on you. It's tough.
now, of course, we should say there's best friends who have this relationship and love it.
Yes. But I've always said, when people ask, is it quality? Is it quantity? How many friends should you have? I'm always like, look, there's no exact number, but you should have more than one.
Yes, I mean, one. I'd rather you have one than zero,
Yeah.
and I'd rather you have two than one.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we also in the early days we talked about you want the amount that would fit in an Uber.
Yeah. I like that too. But I also think, when we're talking about, hey, like individuality and space, like start doing some things that you want to do. If there's some things that you want to do alone, start doing those things.
What about choosing things the friend doesn't like,
Yes.
but you don't even really like either?
Well, no, that's you're like, hey, I think I'm going to take chess, and you're just getting slaughtered at the chess class. Like you're just in bridge club, and people are yelling at you. You don't know how to play bridge.
Chess is like having a renaissance. Like there's like LA chess club. It's like a social
Queen's Gambit, the Queen's Gambit effect.
Yeah, I have a chessboard in my apartment. I think I got it during the pandemic. I had a girl here. I was teaching her how to play. She then beat me, which, whatever.
Right.
I mean, I basically helped her. And then it's been gathering dust for like 3 years.
That's pretty much the standard for the arc of chess love. Chess is like Peloton for nerds. You do it like really intensely for a couple months, and then it just collects dust somewhere in the house.
Oh man, clip it. That's great. That's the arc of chess. You get it. There's a chick, and then you play once, and then you never do it again. Peloton for nerds. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So anyway, I don't know. Did we answer this? I think like what I was going to say is, again, it's not about Halloween, but for Halloween, maybe rope somebody else in or just suck it up and then like have the convo of like, I love you. I'm thinking about going to do some other things on my own a little bit.
I love you, but I'm choosing to be a scarecrow, according to GPS.
A scarecrow. You can't stand next to me. You can't have two scarecrows next to each other.
All right, guys, that was asking for a friend. If you have a question, send it to us on Instagram. We'll answer it on the show. Matt, what did we learn today?
Well, I think what we were trying to hit people with is the idea that, you know, we all carry baggage from our previous friendships, but we should give new friends a blank slate and give them a little credit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, is there a Halloween sort of analogy for you meet the new person and you're not putting your demons upon them? They're like a, you know, they're what's the opposite of a ghost?
The opposite of a ghost, alive,
A living person,
living human being. Can I tell you a tip that has nothing to do with this that I think I just maybe hacked? Friendship tip. So I think when most people don't go to things, they either don't show up or they just like send a text or they, you know, send a no on the Evite. I had a friend who had an event the other night and I thought I couldn't come, but we're like building a friendship. So I just called him up, told him I couldn't go, but I also called him up to kind of like schmooze with him. You know, I love chit chatting just to like have a good conversation. And I think the hack is that like now he's feeling good about me not going to his event.
Because he hates talking to you?
No, come on. I'm saying, come on.
That was nice.
Yeah, no, but my point is the hack is that you're turning a negative into a positive. You're getting you're getting two things out of it. Like you're saying no in a nice way, but you're also having a good, like, just fun. You're basically like hanging out, you know, you're having a good chit chat hang.
I mean, there is something so kind of visceral about a no on a paperless post. Like, I cannot.
Yeah, it's just like no reason. Just no.
Would you like to add a note? No.
Yeah, like, and then you haven't heard that. So I was just like, you know what? Why don't I just call him? Because I like talking to him anyway, and it gave me an excuse for us to like chit chat. And it's like, you know, and I think he feels a lot better about me not going.
That's great. I love that. That's great advice. And guys, tell us how you are exercising your friendship demons. And always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Love you, buddy.